everyone, welcome back. I am really excited to film today. We are going to be doing a spring look because it is officially springtime, and regardless of the fact that it snowed earlier this week, I am ready for springtime and I'm going off the calendar rather than the weather. So today's makeup look isn't going to be super heavy, but I am feeling very springish, so we are going to keep it a little bit more on the simpler side. And I'm really excited to get started. So before we begin, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me, and we'll get going. When I finished my skincare earlier, I did actually apply a more glowy sunscreen than I typically do. It is the Super Goop Glow Screen, and it's a bit more glowy than the sunscreen I typically use. So today I'm just going to go in with my Tarte Smoothing Primer and just fill in some of the pores because I do feel like I've got a pretty nice glowy, springy, fresh base. This primer also is kind of mattifying, so as you'll see, this side is no longer shiny like this side. That's something I really like in this primer, but you might not, but it also helps fill your pores. For foundation, I'm actually going to go in with my Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. This is a skin tint, so it's a bit lighter weight. It does actually have some good coverage. It's been a favorite of mine lately, and I just love using it. So for a fresh spring look, I think this one will be perfect. And I like to apply my foundations with a flat brush. So here's half of my face done. It does cover the redness, but I really think it just evens out the skin. And you can still see I still have acne on my forehead. Like, it doesn't completely cover that up. It's just a really nice, lightweight, but pigmented skin tint. Then I just take whatever is left on the back of my hand and just press everything in with my sponge. This just helps even out any brush strokes, basically. For concealer, I'm actually going to go into an old favorite. This is my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. It's not as full coverage as my Jouer concealer is, and I think this will be really pretty for a spring, fresh look. And then I'm also going to be using an old favorite, my Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder to set my under eyes. I still do one eye at a time, so I'm just going to place the concealer where I need a little extra coverage. And then I'm going to blend it out with a beauty brush. This is the concealer brush from Rare Beauty. This is by far the best brush that I have found for blending out concealer. I own multiples because that's how good it is. And then I like to finish blending it with a beauty sponge. And before it sets, I will take some powder on a little velour puff and just set under my eyes. And this will help with any sort of creasing. And there you have it. And I still feel very fresh and natural and not too overdone. I do also like to take a little bit of concealer down the nose. I feel like the tip of my nose is unnaturally red compared to the rest of my face, so I do always put concealer there to just try to even that out. So before I set the rest of my face, we are going to go in with some creams. I am really excited to pull out my M Cosmetics So Soft bronzer and blushes, so we are going to dive into these. For bronzer, we're using the shade Summer, and this is how I pick up the product. I don't find it works very well if I just draw it on. But this is how we're going to apply bronzer, and I'm just putting that on the high points of my cheeks. I am going to take some on my forehead and connect it down to my temples. This is such a smooth formula, and it blends out super easily too. Now we're going to go into the blush. This is the shade Lychee, and it's a very bright pink because we're going into spring, so I'm feeling a bright pink color. And I do it the same way, where I just put it on the brush first and then apply to the cheeks. And you get a very bright blush. And then I did not set my nose specifically to add a little bit of blush on it. Now I'm going to set the rest of my face. I'm going to go into my Kosas Cloud Set Powder. This is one of my favorite powders of all time because it is so lightweight. You barely even notice that you set your face. And for me, being an oily person, it helps actually to soak up your oils. So I'm going to place this everywhere, even over that cream blush and bronzer. And I know what you're thinking, it kind of looks like I just covered up all of that bronzer and blush. Well, to an extent I did, but the point of it was because I wanted those base colors down, but I really wanted to go into this palette as well. This is from Hourglass. It's one of their edit palettes. They come out every holiday, like Christmas time holiday, I believe. And I really wanted to use this bronzer because it's got a little bit more glow to it. And I really wanted to use another glowy blush from Hourglass, but it's not in this palette. I'll show you that in a second. But for now, I'm just going to go into that bronzer and kind of bring back that warmth. And I'm also going to bring it back on my forehead, even though the forehead was not covered as badly as the cheekbones were. Just means I get a little extra bronzy on the forehead. And I mean, in reality, that's where the sun hits you, is your forehead. And then I'm also going to add a little bit on the sides of my nose. Not a full contour, but just a little definition. And then I'm also going to take some down my chin and under my jaw. And then the other blush that I wanted to use is also from Hourglass, like I mentioned, and this is their shade Sublime Flush. It's super pretty, but it's very bright, bright pink, but it also has a little bit of glow to it. And I just place it right over the top of where we put the Lychee shade, and I think it just looks super pretty together layered. And I also put a little bit of this color on my nose and also up by my hairline. Then I'm going to take my sponge and just go over everything and just make sure everything's very well blended together. And I mean, you can see it's quite a glowy blush, but I'm such a highlight person that I am actually going to take the highlight from this palette and just add a little more shimmer because I like it. So I'm going to apply it on the highest points of my cheeks, and then I like to highlight down the center of my nose and the tip. And then I will also just blend everything in with my sponge. Then I'll use my Urban Decay All Nighter Spray. For eyes, I'm not going to do anything too harsh because I also want to add some of the bronzer and the blush from this palette into my eyes. But we are going to prime still and using the Rare Beauty Eye Primer. So now I'm just going to take a big fluffy brush and we're going to go into this bronzer again. And I'm just going to start putting that in the crease area, and this is just going to add some definition. But because we also used it on our face, it's going to look a little bit more monochromatic. And I'm kind of placing it on the lid as well. I'm not being super careful, kind of being sloppy with it really. Because I changed my mind and I decided to place the bronzer everywhere. Now I'm going to take an even smaller brush and using that same bronzer, put that on the lower lash line. And then I'm going to go back into my fluffy brush. I wiped this off on just a hand towel that I have next to me. And I'm going to go into my blush that we used and just place that on the crease as well. That way we tie in the pink to our eyes. And you can be sloppy with this color too. Just kind of place it everywhere. At least that's what I'm doing. I am not typically one who uses my bronzers and blushes for eye looks. I really like to use my eyeshadow palettes for my eyes, but I don't know why I got so inspired by my Hourglass products today that I just wanted to use them everywhere. But I did pull out my Colourpop Your Golden palette because I do want to use this shimmer, which is called Jet Set. It's a super light shimmer shade, which, I mean, it kind of looks almost white, but I just wanted a really light colored shimmer right on top of the lid. Just something to give it a little extraness, but I'm not picking up a whole lot. Like, I'm not digging my finger into the color. I'm just trying to do a light, thin layer. And then I am going to take the smaller brush we were using and just place it in the inner corner as well, to help keep that area bright. I'm going to put on my mascara and get my eyebrows on, and then we'll come back to finish up the lip. For lips, we're going to keep it simple, just like everything else. I'm going to be using my Melt Cosmetics Perfectionist Lip Pencil. This is in the shade Bare, and I'm actually going to fill in my entire lips. Like, this itself is a good lip color. This is a really good neutral lip color. But I do want to use my Rare Beauty lip balm just so I've got some lip balm basically. This is in the shade Nearly Apricot, so it will have a little bit of a pink tint. And I think it'll look like we combined the bronzer and the blush on my lips as well. So here is our finished look. I really enjoyed putting this on and creating a very springtime look. I mean, it's beautiful today. I mean, it's like in the 60s today, but I promise you earlier this week it was snowing and it was not fun. So I'm just really excited to hopefully have the weather turn a bit warmer, but this was really enjoying for me too, which I think is also really important when you are applying your makeup. You should find the joy in it. But this is my springtime look, and I bet you'll be seeing quite a bit more springtime looks for me in the next coming weeks. I would love to hear what your opinion is about spring. Is it your favorite season? Is it your favorite makeup season? Are you ready for it? Is it already spring in your area? I would love to hear your thoughts. Other than that though, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps out quite a bit. Also, don't forget to ring the bell and hit all notifications, and you will be notified every time I post a video. I'm here on Tuesdays and Fridays, 10 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.